the last few years, I've learned more about myself than I care to admit I did not know or understand. Evaluating my subjectivities has proven to be an extension of that continuous growth cycle, and it has allowed me to reflect and learn more about myself and how I react to the world around me and approach life as both a wife, mother, educator, and student. Growing up in a single parent home and being mixed in the area I grew up in meant that I didn't fit into most groups at school. At an early age, I found joy in the achievement of learning. I was consistently encouraged by teachers to grow and learn more, and I think that's probably why I wanted to become a teacher as well. But despite that continuous support from my mother and some of those early teachers, there came a point where my being such an enthusiastic learner created valleys of space between myself and my closest like peer groups. I struggled with this undefined space into adulthood and often hid my academic achievements from certain people in my life. I also had teachers that I struggled with because I was a questioner, and that questioning, though welcomed by some, was often met with disdain because they just wanted me to do what they asked me to do. Thankfully, though, enough people supported my questioning, and it's continued to be part of who I am. As a teacher, I've always felt that it was imperative to give students the opportunity and space and support to grow, not only as individuals, but also academically, of course. Growth and wanting to support growth of others is central to what drove me back to school to pursue my doctorate. As a parent, I'm always looking for those characteristics of those early teachers that I had in my own kids' teachers. I'm looking for that awareness, that care, support, and those high expectations. As a professional learning specialist for middle and high schools, I'm very focused on the impact that professional learning and good instructional practices have on student achievement. When that is coupled with my knowledge base from my degrees in instructional technology and my knowledge from leadership coursework, I can become hyper focused on teacher changes related to classroom management and student engagement. My theoretical knowledge base, coupled with my professional practice and parental expectations of teachers, causes me to look at education through a very specific lens. And I often feel the urge to step in and help when I see instructional practices that seem to be lacking or impacting students negatively. Upon reflection, it's clear my eyes have actually driven me into becoming a practitioner scholar in training. I think I've always suffered a little bit from an inferiority complex, and that pushes me to always seek new understanding and new knowledge. That push instilled a love and passion for knowledge that continues to grow and creates interest in educational research. But knowing is not enough, and I always long to understand how what I am learning can be used to grow and how it can be used to support others. Living in theoretical has proved difficult for me always. I need to know why something should be done and not just that it should be done. It's that questioning that helps me to sustain my interest in being a practitioner scholar and motivates me to learn and apply to continue on this path. From elementary school forward, I've always enjoyed learning and the pursuit of knowledge, and I think that helps me to have an open mindset and a very positive mindset to research and scholarship. Working hard, putting in extra hours, and producing quality work have long been at the core of who I am as a student. I expect high quality from myself, but that can also cause me to get caught in a bind of hesitancy if I fear my work is not going to be good enough to meet the expectations of teachers and professors. As mentioned by the professors and in the texts we have read thus far, it will be important for me to journal my thinking as I interact with and determine if any of my preconceived notions or beliefs are impacting the way that I interact with participants or in the way that I evaluate data collected from participants. I chose to step away from Peshkin's eyes and created ones that more specifically explained me. I decided upon five I's: a multicultural I, a superhero I, a caregiver I, a continuous learner I, and the fighter I. The only I that I feel like might give me some power as I understand it is my continuous learner I, as my various degrees and endorsements signal to others that I have a vast knowledge base to draw from. All of my eyes offer me unique perspectives and determine how I operate in various situations. My multicultural eye has me always aware of how people are being treated and if they're being treated differently and responded to differently in educational settings and really anywhere. It puts my mind in a constant evaluation of how people are represented or supported in various situations because that matters for my kids as well. My superhero eye has me constantly assessing what can be done to change situations for the better. My caregiver eye allows me to evaluate educational settings through the eyes of parents and think through how those situations would impact families. That continuous learner eye supports me as a practitioner because it positions me to stay up to date on current trends in education and think about the impact that that has on teachers and students and classrooms that I work with. It supports my efforts as a scholar and that I really do find value in learning and researching education. It also supports my work as a practitioner scholar as I enjoy learning and thinking through how it can be applied in a practical sense. My fighter eye is probably the most impactful as it positions me to always be in a must do, keep moving attitude in pretty much everything I do. However, each of my eyes can also limit me. My multicultural eye could cause me to get lost in observing or placing more emphasis on interactions between groups or focusing on interactions instead of items that need to be observed. It could distract me from my intended purpose. My superhero eye could cause me lots of issues as I might be sitting and observing and thinking about things that I perceive to be issues and how they could be fixed, which limits my ability to focus on observing what is happening. The caregiver eye could impact me in regards to seeing my own children and those students in the classroom, and thus my maternal instincts could kick in and really push my instincts for protecting and supporting and disciplining, and all of that could be engaged without me ever realizing it. My continuous learner eye could bring me into actual conflict or internal conflict with others who do not value learning new things and instead want to rely on traditional methods. The fighter eye is likely to cause me the most issues, however, because it could prevent me from slowing down and reflecting and sitting in the moment. Based on how my eyes are likely to impact me, it will be important for me to be aware of what I'm thinking and very self aware and reflective. Though it is important to be aware of everything happening, I need to be very aware of how I interact with people despite my own beliefs about what I am seeing. I must be open to discussion, non judgmental, and seek clarity through questioning to better understand. In thinking about qualitative research, one area of interest for me is equity in education. Specifically, I wonder if we could improve teaching practice in regards to helping teachers better understand themselves and their students to build lessons that support the needs of all. Though I was supported early on by teachers and throughout my education career, it was because they always saw someone willing to work and who loved to learn. However, there were some teachers who viewed me as not capable, and it was not until adulthood I began to hypothesize why. I operated in a space of people who never looked like or came from the background that I did, and I think for some that solidified that I did not belong or I wouldn't make it. Thus, my education in their class never had equity. Is about understanding your students and their needs and working to provide opportunities and access based on that information. But if, as teachers, we don't realize that we're building lessons from our own perspectives, that could cause us to always be lacking equity in our classrooms. My eyes create what I want to research and that I want to research more into this topic, but they can hinder me in the pursuit of knowledge in this area because I bring preconceived ideas and beliefs with me. I will have to learn how to acknowledge my subjectivities and account for them as I research, as I would rather have to continuously evaluate my understanding in terms of self than try to remove myself from the research process and focus on something that does not drive or fuel my passions.